Hello, folks. Welcome to the Genuinely Interested podcast. I'm your host, Roy Bensby. This podcast is an opportunity for me to speak with some of the most interesting people I know, either with amazing talents or achievements or unbelievable life stories or just invaluable insights into areas which they have dedicated their lives to studying. I sit down with these amazing individuals from across the planet and I try to ask them questions that will hopefully help you, the listener, extract something valuable or learn something new or just hopefully get inspired by. You can find all the episodes for the podcast on all the major podcasting platforms such as iTunes, Spotify, Google, Overcast, iHeartRadio, literally all of them. It's there. If you love the show, if it adds value to your life in any way, shape, or form, please leave reviews on iTunes. It really helps grow the podcast. It puts it up there so more people can see it. You can also find all the episodes and everything else, all the information that's updated regularly on the website, which is roybensv.com, ROYBENTZVI.com. And you can sign up for updates as well. Also been updating the YouTube channel. So I've been uploading old episodes pretty much on a daily basis. So you can find it there. And in the future, I hope to make video podcasting as well. If that's something you guys want to check out and are interested in, please shoot me email. I'd love to hear from you. And also make sure to check out the social media platforms, Instagram and Twitter. I post there daily. And lastly, if you guys want to support and help grow the podcast, please go to Buy Me a Coffee or Anchor or Patreon. It is an endeavor to grow this podcast and make it what it should be. And it takes a village. So I want to thank each and every one of you for listening. I see that there are literally listeners from all over the world in each and every country. So thank you to everyone and on to the show. All right, folks, thank you for tuning in. We have a great episode this week. I have Niv Majar. Niv is a actor, comedian, musician, illustrator, graphic designer, artist, everything. He's a creative Renaissance man of the 21st century. He's a great guy, and it was a fun conversation. He is one of the stars of the new show on the Spectrum. I guess it's actually not that new, but it was just released on HBO Max probably about a month ago. It is about 3 people living in an apartment who are all on the spectrum, and the show is really from their point of view, how they go through life, what are their daily struggles, what are their wants, desires, and again, struggles, because that's just part of life. But it's done in a really authentic way. It's not like the Hollywood Rain Man type of thing. It's just funny and sad and honest, and it just shows what their life is. It's a really great show. I highly suggest you guys go check it out. Some spoilers in the episode because I just wanted to talk to him about some of the events and some things that happen on the show and how they relate to real life. What were his experiences filming that, gaining new insights into what we called a no filter opportunity where you could just say whatever you want with little to no consequence, which was, I'm assuming, very liberating. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. We talked a lot about the show, a lot about being on the spectrum. We also covered Larry David because why wouldn't you cover Larry David? He's fucking amazing. And yeah, we talked about comedy. We talked about PC culture. And this was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing this episode. Niv was great. The show was great. If you guys, please go check it out. It's a fantastic show. So, one more thing before we start the episode. Guys, please go iTunes, Spotify. Those are probably the 2 big ones, unless you listen to it on some of the other platforms. But majority of you listen to it on either iTunes or Spotify. Please go subscribe. Please go leave reviews. Those reviews help the show get seen, thus helping us grow and getting on better guests and just organically growing as much as possible. So please go subscribe. Please go leave reviews. I really do appreciate it. And let's get on with the show, which I'm sure you're going to enjoy. Here is Niv Majar. Enjoy the episode, everyone.
The Genuinely Interested Podcast. 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 The Genuinely
doing, Niv?
Hey, glad to be here. What's up?
Man. I'm great. Thank you for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And you want to introduce me, or should I ask the first question?
You want to just take over the podcast? I'm happy to do it. It'll be interesting to be on this side and just answer all the different questions.
Yeah, I just want to ask you one question, at least for now.
Okay.
So my question is, who the hell do you think would want to hear me talking? Like, who knows me there?
It doesn't matter. Do you think I don't think people care about, obviously celebrity status has gravitas to it and people are obviously attracted to that, but I think people care about a story, about someone that's interesting, about someone that does something interesting. And I think that's why podcasts are so popular now, not because, and it moves away from celebrity. I think people are interested in people, in characters, in authenticity, and in story. So that's my answer.
Okay, how about it? I hope people will have fun and that I have something interesting to say. That's right. And pardon my lack of a good English, because that's not I'm not a native.
Yeah.
So I'll do my best.
Yeah, no, you're great, dude. I loved the show. I thought the show was so funny and sad and real and authentic and unique. And as soon as I finished, I was like, all right, I gotta talk to this guy. That was like my first reaction.
Oh, cool. And have you watched it on HBO Max, or have you watched it before through Israel stuff?
No, I'll be honest. I didn't know anybody on the show. I watched it on HBO Max. It came out like a month ago or something like that. And
cool. So you didn't know? You just heard it now for the first time?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great, because I didn't know if like Americans will be interested in an Israeli show in Hebrew. So I'm really glad. Of course, you know Hebrew, but it's very cool.
I think Fauda kind of opened the doors. Well, I think what's happening now is very interesting, and I think you can probably give some insight. We're seeing this new way to consume content, right? Before, and even in Israel, like the content you would consume would be either the content, Israeli content, right? Or American content, and maybe a little bit of stuff from England. Yeah, but that's about it, right? 99% of the stuff would be from Israel or America. And I think that's true for a lot of the world. It would be like their local stuff and then stuff from the US.
Yes.
Now with Netflix, HBO Max, Hulu, all the different streaming services, I'm consuming stuff from I'm watching movies and shows from Sweden, Italy, India, Israel, Japan, like all over. And it's amazing stuff. I absolutely love it. And I think people are loving it too, because you're seeing like all these really popular shows like Fauda, shows from India, shows from Sweden that are becoming popular here in the US. So I think this new way of consumption is just amazing.
Yeah, I agree. Totally.
And I think that Fauda was one of the probably the first like major Israeli blockbuster to kind of hit the US, because it became really, really big here.
Yeah, there was like kind of, American versions of TV shows, but as is, I think this is the first one, definitely the biggest one yet.
Yeah. And, even when they came here, I remember my wife, she was like, oh, I saw Idan Amedi on the street, like, because we lived in New York, and I think they were coming here to do a promotion. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, it was so funny to see her, an American, like recognize an Israeli actor in the US, and she was like so excited because like, oh, it's the guy from Fauda. So it was just a funny interaction.
Yeah, that's really fun.
Yeah. So how long? So you're not originally an actor, right? So I want to just do a little bit of background. Your background is not in acting; it's in comedy and in music, right?
Yeah, mainly I think the main thing I do is comedy. I'm a director, so So I
Okay.
direct not only comedies, but I think if you ask me what I am, probably would be a comedian and a director. Afterwards, I have the music stuff, which it's not financial at all. So I do it for fun. I'm a member of a couple of bands. I
Yeah.
play the drums, and I do animation. I do comic books. But again, I'm supposed to be a painter or a comic book artist, but yeah, TV and cinema got in the way, and that's I always do drawings in my art.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm doing a show, I will do the animation, a part of animation in a sketch comedy show.
Wow.
But it's not in my everyday, unfortunately, because I love to paint and make animation. So yeah, the acting, I always acted in my stuff.
Okay.
Always acted, wrote, and directed and edited my stuff. But this was the first time, or almost the first time, in On the Spectrum that I only acted in someone else's project, and I'm so fortunate to be part of it because it's an amazing one, and I knew the director, so I knew it's going to be great.
And can you tell people that might not know or have heard about the show, what the show is about?
So On the Spectrum is a show about three roommates. They're all on the autistic spectrum, living together as roommates, and about their lives, all their difficult stuff that I have to do, all the funny parts, all the really sad part, all the. I think the most interesting thing about this show is it's not like a family dealing with a person on the spectrum, like a brother or a son.
Yeah.
It's a show about people on the spectrum and how they deal with the world.
Yeah.
It's through their eyes. And that's a very, I think, special perspective to look at things.
Yeah, it's well, there was a potential fourth roommate, right? He always wanted to get in. Every time, like,
yeah,
he would, I forget what the date, but he would always say like the date, and it was like, let's say like February, and then
it's February 4th. It's February 4th. Yeah.
And then one of you guys were like, it's July. What are you talking about?
I think it's everyone's favorite character, and actually,
he was so good. He was so good.
It's amazing, and I have Avi Dangur. Yeah,
okay.
He's amazing, and he also a comedian mostly, but not only. He's also a great dramatic actor and creator. And a nice thing that happened with Avi is he did audition for the part that I was for Ron. Mm-hmm. And I took they chose me, but they wouldn't give up on Avi. So the director asked Dana, the co-creator and writer of the show, to write a new whole character for him.
Really?
And it was so worth it because he's amazing. And this character is just so heartwarming and funny, and we all love it.
He was so good. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. I get like goosebumps, like thinking about like some of the stuff, because I don't know, he was just so relatable in a way, and so he was almost like, he went from like his ability to be funny, but then the next moment be so like heartfelt, was amazing. Yes. He did it so fast and so well. Like, both me and my wife were like, wow, this guy's amazing. Because he also came on a little bit later. He wasn't like in the original, I think in the first few episodes. Or very little.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly the amount and the time right now. It's been a couple of years, I admit, from the last time I saw it. But he's the fourth roommate. Yeah, even though in this season he is not a roommate, but he is the fourth roommate for sure.
So I'll tell you what. When I first watched it, because I didn't know any of the actors, I literally was like, they're all actors, right? They're not like really on the spectrum. And I was
we get that a lot.
And I was like, that wouldn't make sense. Obviously, they're not going to hire people on the spectrum. And I guess that just
I have something to say about that, but
Sure.
finish your sentence.
I was just going to say that it was so good that if people don't know you, they would actually think that you're almost not acting, that it's real.
Yeah, that's the greatest compliment you can get.
Yeah.
I think. I've been in a few panels with people on the spectrum about this show.
Okay.
I went in different universities or stuff like that, and we talked and we asked people from the audience for Q&As. And a question that was in almost every time we talked about it, I think in every place, was people on the spectrum saying, how come they didn't take people on the spectrum to play the roles?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is, there's nothing against, like, if an actor who's happens to be on the spectrum would do a great audition, I guess he would get the part, not me.
Yeah.
That's not, no one is saying if you're on the spectrum, you can't play. No, you can act in this show. But, you can say it about anything. Like, not every movie about firemen is a real fireman acting in the role, So they chose the persons that were the best fit. We happened to be not on the spectrum, but we could have just been the same,
Well, that's what people, I think all of us forget sometimes. It's acting. It's a make-believe. It's people with a crew and cameras and directors and lines, and it's they're being told what to do, what to wear, how to look, everything. But sometimes when it's done really well, you forget that, you almost, and I think that's the beauty of cinema, right? That's the beauty of film. It's like you get, especially in shows. I love shows, and I think a lot of people do now more than movies, because there's such a maturation of character and there's such a continuation of the storyline that you just kind of get drawn into the characters. Like, you love the characters more, you're invested more, you want to see what's happening. And now, because it's not like, dun, 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 this is what's happening next week, you just get to binge watch the whole thing. You're just so invested in it, like it's a whole Saturday is wasted, not wasted with like air quotes. But it's just it's a great way to, if it's a really good show, it's a great way to just like spend a Saturday sometimes.
Yeah. I think the best example for it was The Sopranos, that you just felt one of the family. It was so, you were, as a viewer, were so into it. Like, you knew the house, you knew the fridge, you felt just one of them, and it was so powerful. It was when they made you laugh, you laughed like it was someone you know, and when they made you cry, it was painful as someone you know makes you cry.
Yeah.
So definitely, I get your point.
Do you, when you, I guess, study for a role? So, for example, you mentioned The Sopranos, right? Like, if you look at it realistically, right, objectively, he was a bad guy, right? He was a mafia guy that killed people.
Yeah.
But you still rooted for him. Like, you still loved Anthony, and you didn't want him to die, and you wanted him to succeed, and you wanted him to maybe become a little bit better. But you didn't want anything bad to happen to him. Like, he was the star of the show, right? Like, you loved the guy.
Mm-hmm.
But objectively, he's a really bad guy.
Yeah.
So I wonder, like, when you study for a role, right? Doesn't matter if it's a serial killer or like a mob guy. Do you get some sort of a different perspective on the person? Do you get like more empathy? Do you or not? I don't know.
Oh, that's a great question, and I'm not sure I have a quick answer for it.
No, we have time. We have time.
Yeah. Like, right now, I played a role of a really, I don't want to say bad, but a really extreme guy, like doing bad stuff in a movie, in a new feature that I just finished shooting.
Okay.
It's a small role, but it was very special experience, and I'm really waiting for this to come out. I guess will take at least a year. Um, but this guy did really bad things, like he vandalized stuff and he did really bad stuff. But I tried to, I tried to get in his shoes and see through his eyes and say, okay, why does it? Why do he? Sorry, my grammar got mixed up.
You're good. You're good.
Yeah, but why does it do those things? Like, okay, I don't agree with him, and he should be arrested. But from his perspective, the guy he's vandalizing, or vandalizing his store, that's what happens in the movie, is like, is destroying the neighborhood or destroying the stuff that he believes in.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be in his shoes to do it right, I think. And so, of course, you can hate your character, but when you do it, you got to be him.
Yeah.
And on the spectrum, it was something else, of course. But I think both, like all four of us, the lead roles, really felt like the characters are something that also in each and every one of us in our lives. Like it was kind of an alter ego kind of thing,
Yeah.
Like we all loved our character and felt that, yeah, it's a part of me. For definitely, it's people ask me, how did you what did you have to do to get in his own shoes? And like, it wasn't that tough. It was like just getting to know an extreme part of me.
Yeah.
So in this part, it was very easy. In other parts, like you have to do something very different from you, and the job is the work is different. It's very different.
But I'm assuming you definitely get more empathy, right? Like it's because we don't really think about, for the most part, most of us are not very altruistic, at least not early on in life, maybe later in life. And we kind of are self-involved for the most part. But if you step into a role like this, does that give you a little bit more empathy for people? I'm assuming, right? Like, oh, wow, that's so interesting to live like that. I never even thought of that. And that kind of just opens your minds to this whole way of life.
Yes. And in general, all this world, like I wasn't aware of it. Like, of course I knew of it, but meeting people before we started the shooting, we met with people on the spectrum, talked with them, went to see their apartments, who would be an influence for our apartment in the show. Ask them, what would you like us to do? Like, what points do you have to tell us, and what stuff you want us to avoid? And I got to meet very interesting people and to learn about this world. Of course, just a little bit. I have so much more to study and get to know, but it was very, very new, all this world and this character. So it was very mind expanding going to this world.
Is that how you kind of studied for this role? Did you like sit with, with specific people and maybe study how they act, like their gestures, all that stuff? Or
it wasn't like much? No, not as much, because we didn't want to be someone like exactly like someone.
Yeah.
But we did meet with all kinds of people on the spectrum and talk with them and ask questions about their lives. Of course, we observed them, but we didn't try to imitate someone in particular. And the director's note was, don't try to be anyone. Like, find yourself in this role. And that's what we did. And luckily, it was very easy because the characters was close to us. But definitely meeting with people and talking with them, it was the crucial part of the studying for this.
You have these facial tics or gestures that you keep repeating on the show. And it was subtle, but I picked up on it like pretty quickly, and I thought it was so good. It was just like those subtle things that you kept doing with your. It's almost like when someone would say something, you're like, you did this like face that was almost the shit, like, ugh, what did they know? Like, I'm so much smarter.
Yeah, like eyes rolling kind of thing.
Yeah, it was just like this like little thing with the mouth, and like the eyebrow would go up, and I thought, I don't know, I loved it. It was just like, so again, like it was, that was the character, and it was just done so well.
Thank you. Yeah, we just went with it, and I wasn't sure whether it's gonna stay or not after we finished shooting.
So was that like something that you thought of, or is that just something that you developed with the character?
I think it was the creator's idea that I'll do something like this, and I can't remember exactly if they told me maybe you try this or just say in general do something, and then we thought of it together. But for sure, it was something that we tried in the rehearsals and thought what's good for it. And you said it right. Like, he's so condescending, this guy. So
I loved him.
Yeah, I love him too. So the stick is you don't know if it's voluntary or not. It's like
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's good.
So I guess the show is, I don't know, it broadly based around the creator of the show, right? Dana, I forget her last name.
Idisis.
Yeah.
Or Idisis, maybe in America.
Yeah, they always ruin names. But her brother's on the spectrum. I think I heard in one of the interviews,
right?
And he was the inspiration for the show, right?
Yeah, and not only him, but yeah, she's dealing. It's a big part of her life, of course, naturally. Mm-hmm. And she did a very interesting documentary film before this show about him.
Okay.
And her family, and I watched it, and very good. And I think she said that Amit's character is based on her brother, but it's not exactly her brother, but kind of
inspiration from.
Yeah, so inspiration is for the show, definitely for her experience with a brother, like her brother, and with his friends from the hostel, or I don't know, all kinds of other stuff, other places.
Yeah, there's my cousin, he's on the spectrum as well, and there were things that when I watched it, it was just like, that's, when like you go to a comedy show and like you laugh more when it's really true about your life. Like the comedian will have a joke and you'll tell your friend like, oh, or your wife, like, oh, that's so true. That's us. Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's true with other forms, and not only comedy, but when I watched it, there were things in the show. I was like, that is so true. Like that's exactly what happens with, my cousin. And I don't know, it just hit home for me. There was a Zohar, right? The female that was in the house. She's autistic, but she wants quote unquote regular guy. She doesn't want to date. And she's like, I don't want to give too many spoilers away or anything, but like she really just wants like a relationship. She wants a guy, right? But she doesn't want a guy like her. She wants a regular guy.
Yeah, that's how she calls it. Yeah.
Yeah. And my cousin, is the same. Like he is not necessarily interested in a girl that is like him. He wants like a regular girl. And I just found that fascinating that, that is, I guess, like maybe more of a common thing that we would like to think.
Yeah. That's one of the stuff that I really liked in her storyline. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, the part where her brother, and again, this is also like relatable because I know my aunt is essentially dedicated her whole life to help him out, and she's still doing it. And her brother in the show is essentially in captivity. He's essentially in, for lack of a better word, he's in jail. Like, he can't do his normal things. He can't go to work. He can't go take care of the things he wants to take care of, because his whole life is dedicated to caring and looking after his sister. And she couldn't care less, for lack of a better term. Like, she doesn't like appreciate it in like how a normal person would. Like, she's just like, it's a one-way street.
Yeah, it's very complex, to say the least. It's very hard. It's very I don't know. Each person takes it for takes us. It's an everyday dealing. So I thought Zohar and her brother was, wow, so moving and so. I don't know. It was one. I know I said it, but it was also one of my favorite stuff in the show. Wow.
Yeah.
The relationship between the two of them, just amazing.
Yeah, I don't
highly recommend it.
I don't think they'd be able to shoot that type of show here in the US, or maybe they could, but they just wouldn't.
But they are.
No, I'm saying not show it, but like an American show.
No, there's an Amazon version soon to be. I don't know if released or shoot, but there's an Amazon. Amazon Prime American version.
One for one.
No, it's adaptation, but same base.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know when it's going to come out, but we really want to see what they're doing. That's very exciting.
Why did they do that? I always wonder. I know it's a popular. There's been a few. I know they did Homeland, right? That's it's not one for one, but it's an adaptation. And
they actually changed it quite a bit.
Yeah. Homeland they changed, but like
in Therapy, I think it's
Therapy, Beauty and the Baker. What else did I see recently? Or not recently. Ramzor, I forget. I don't know what they called it here, but it was a popular show back home.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's never going to be as good as the original, I think.
Yeah, but just look at the greatest, not the greatest, but the most popular adaptation, The Office. Okay. Like, I'm a big fan of the British one, of the original one, but it couldn't have been such a massive success if it wouldn't be Americanized, Americanized, or it's a whole different ball game. It's not football anymore; it's soccer.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I get why they do it. I mean, it's. I think it's great. It puts a spotlight on the original, which is obviously amazing. More eyeballs go to the original. But I don't know. I'll be honest. I've never seen an adaptation that is better than the original. As far as like movies or shows, or whenever they take it from like a foreign country and make it American, it's just never as good.
Even when Michael Haneke, the director, the Austrian director.
No, I don't know him.
He's really good. He's Funny Games. Have you heard about this movie, Funny Games? So anyway. No, so the original is, I think, in German.
Okay.
I think so. I'm not, but anyway, it's European. And he did an American version that I think he directed also the American version, and it was not as good as the original. even the same director, nah. Yeah.
Yeah. It loses because what's unique in a show, especially if it's overseas, is it's got the nuance of the country, right? It's got the nuance of the culture. Like, just for example, what's that movie? The funny one, funeral at a wedding at a funeral, or a funeral or a wedding, whatever it is.
4 funerals and 1 wedding, I think, something like that.
No, not the one with Hugh Grant. There's another one with the Peter Dinklage. It's a British movie where essentially there's a funeral that happens, and this guy he's his father died, so they have a funeral, but there's all this crazy stuff that happens in the funeral. And Peter Dinklage from what's that famous show? Anyway, Peter Dinklage is in this. It's hilarious. They did an American version of it with like Chris Rock and all these people. It sucked. It just wasn't good, and amazing actors in the American version, but it just lacked that British wit, that British humor, the dryness of what makes British humor so good. It just lacked all of it. And anyway, in my opinion, it bombed, and I don't think it actually did very well in the box office either at the time.
Yeah.
But what are you gonna do? I guess they got to make money. I loved the interaction you had with the neighbor upstairs, with the
oh my God, yeah,
obese neighbor.
Yeah, we're not gonna spoil, but I'm just gonna say that I really wanted to make a spin-off of only me and her testing products and doing like a YouTube channel.
That'll be great.
Yeah. She was amazing. She was amazing. And, she's not really an actress. She was a very famous singer.
Really?
And I think that's her first time acting, or one of her first times. And she was just amazing. Also in real life, Ruti, the girl that played. Yeah.
She, it's funny because, the first thing, and I'm trying not to give away too many spoilers, but the first thing you kind of think when you see her, right, is you're fat. Like that's just she was very fat, but you never say that. A normal person would never say that, but you just blurt it out. Like you don't even think twice. Was that kind of, I guess, refreshing to just be able to say what everyone else thinks but no one else says?
Yeah, it's like a superpower. Yeah, it was very refreshing, and it was hard, to say to someone in his face. Bad? Yeah, of course. But it was, as you said, very refreshing. It's like, released. Like you feel released. I don't know, from your chains, from your, I don't know, PC chains, or all this environment rules. It was, it was really, really amazing. Just telling the truth to people in their face, but it's hard. It's just against your every instinct.
Is it? I don't know. Did it take you a few tries, or were you just like, all right, this is the role, this is the character, this is what it is?
I think in this part, like in this part of the show with the neighbor, it took pretty quick. Mm-hmm. One of the reasons maybe because it's a fat suit and it's not her.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, so maybe it was easier. But in general, I had many stuff in this show that I'm telling the hardcore, cold truth to people.
Yeah,
and that was very hard. Like you can't take yourself out of it. Like you're not. It's you saying that. Of course, you're portraying a role, but it's you that say those stuff. It's really hard, but also fun. at the same time, it's like. As my hero Larry David said, like, I wish I was that character in the show. It's not the real Larry David.
You're killing me. No, I refuse to believe that. I think that's him, and that's the hill I'm going to die on.
Yeah, we cannot. We can erase it. Like it's so great. So. You see it and you say, no, that's him for sure. But as I heard him say in interviews, he wished that was him.
I don't know. I just feel like it is. He is. It's so funny that you said that. Like, we watch him all the time. Like, we've watched all, what is it, 9 or 10 seasons of Curb, and
10 to date, yeah.
10, and now I think we're on the second or third rerun of it, and it's still funny every time. He's just got such a knack for picking up on the small minutiae of life, of the everyday mundane things that maybe the rest of us we know it's there, but we just don't pick up on it as well.
Yeah.
And he's so good at it.
It was a couple weeks ago. I drove I drove our car. Me and my wife was next to me, and the turn left signal was on, and she's like, "What's with the turn left signal?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I know. In a couple of blocks, I need to turn left, so I'll keep it on from now." He's like, "You're not Larry David, okay? Not everything is cute and funny because you think you're Larry David." So it really changed your life, this Curb show. Like everything you feel, oh my God, that's such a Curb scene. What's happening here?
Yeah.
Mainly in restaurants, of course.
Yeah. I had I'm blanking on it, but I had something like a few weeks ago where I came back and I told my wife, I was like, I just had like this, Larry would love this. Like he would definitely use this for a show. Like there was some social interaction I had somewhere, I think in the bank maybe. And I was like, oh, like he would definitely use that. And, but I can't remember what it was now. But like, I think what everyone loves about him, especially here in the US, like and I know in Israel it's not as much, but here the PC culture is, it's on crack. It's just like it's on DEFCON 5, right? And there's a few people that don't follow those rules, right? Like a Joe Rogan or a Larry David or I don't know, Andrew Schultz, and there's a few others that kind of still speak their mind and they're like, I don't care what anyone says. I'm just going to say what I want to say. And because of that, they're wildly successful. And I think that's such a key thing, man, like to not bow down. And again, in Israel, people still say what they want. Like no one's really, there's
it's changing.
Really?
It's changing. Yeah. Like Tel Aviv is really trying to be, a little sister of LA or New York. But but of course you got it the worst. That's for sure.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. That's, I had a guest on once here that said when the U.S. sneezes, the rest of the world gets the flu. And I always thought that was so true. There's a huge export of culture and whatever happens here, sometimes a lot of other countries, they try to adapt or adopt those ideologies. And a lot of times it's not, it's not a 1-for-1. Like whatever works here or doesn't even work here doesn't mean that it's relatable to those countries. Like we have our own culture, our own history, our own things. Like we don't need to adopt everything from the US always. And Israel has always been this, like we joke back home, right? The 51st state, like we always try to be the US, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not.
Sometimes it's pretty. Oh, I'm sorry. I have to
give it to me. Give it to me.
No. That's enough. Let him do the rest. No, but actually, one of my greatest dreams is for him to watch now that it's on HBO Max.
Yeah,
I wish he would watch it. That would be so crazy.
No, maybe he did.
Well, he haven't contacted me yet.
He hasn't texted you yet.
But the closest I got to for him or the Seinfeld legacy, I had really two amazing experiences.
Okay.
I directed a commercial back in, I think, 2015 or something like that, or maybe I think so. The Larry Thomas, who played the Soup Nazi, came to Israel. Yeah, so he came to Israel.
Okay.
And I directed him in a very cool commercial for a Pepsi, like street food festival or something.
Really?
So I got to know him and we still keep in touch. And he's such an amazing guy. So nice. He went with his Jewish mother here in Israel. and we hang out and we did a commercial. It was just amazing. I even uploaded on my YouTube channel a small sketch I made with him, and I just uploaded now on the with the all this Corona pandemic. I uploaded it, and couple like a year later, Wayne Knight Newman, like the Newman character, he came also to Israel, and I directed him in a IKEA commercial.
Wow!
It was for me to sit with people that were on the on Seinfeld and hear stories. Wow, that was like meeting God.
It was surreal,
it was amazing.
Right?
Yeah, it was super crazy.
That's insane. It's did they give you any good stories?
They gave me pretty wild stories, but I'm not sure I can say them. I can tell them. Yeah.
It is really funny how
I can tell some. I remember something I think I can tell because I think it's in his book that Larry Thomas was a real big Frank Sinatra fan. And I also really like Frank Sinatra. And the day that Seinfeld, the last episode was aired, I think maybe the day after. So Larry is opening the TV, just wanting to see what people would say, because from him, it's the second time he was on the show, because there's the one we all know, the Soup Nazi, and then he also came back on the last episode with the trial.
Yeah.
And he opens the TV, just wanting to see the critics talk about the show, and every channel is talking about Frank Sinatra's passing. So he just watched, because he passed one day after the Seinfeld finale. So he just loves him.
Yeah.
But he looks at the show and say at the TV and said, "God damn you, Frank," something like that. And I really love that story. I hope it's fine that I'm telling it.
I'm sure.
I really hope
so.
I'm sorry if it's not. I'm really sorry, Larry.
I'm sure it is. Do you think it's a blessing or a curse? Because if you look at the Soup Nazi and a bunch of other characters in Seinfeld and in other shows as well, it's like, especially I think for our generation nowadays, those type of shows are not around, very much, and because of the amount of content out there, like I don't think we're doing reruns as much, and the Soup Nazi will always be the Soup Nazi. You know what I mean? Yep. Like he's that character for life. And I think recently I saw he has a cameo where he does the Soup Nazi. So he's like riding this wave until he's gonna die. Like he's riding this wave forever. But, the hindrance, like the bad part is like he can't get a role as anything else, like if he wants to continue. And I see this with a lot of different characters over the years, like the people that do their job really well, right? They go and they have some like character on some show, like a Joey, right? Like you can only see Joey from Friends as Joey, like, and he's tried to do other things, but nothing's really caught on as much because he was just so good as Joey.
Yeah, that's very hard. That's very hard. But as you said, it's a blessing in disguise because you make a career out of it. And of course, Larry acts in all kind of stuff and theater. But people will remember the Soup Nazi because what can you do, right? It was so big, and so good. So it's complex, definitely.
Yeah, I always wonder because I don't know. On the one hand, you have a character for life. Nowadays, I guess you can really monetize it much better. Back in the day, it was much harder, right? Like now you can, I don't know, you can start a cameo. You can, like the guy, I know the guy from The Office. I've never watched The American Office, so I don't know the names, but the bald fat guy, I don't know his name, but he...
I can't remember.
Keith, maybe?
I can't remember,
But he brings in about, I think I saw about $1.2, $1.4 million in cameo each year, right?
Wow.
Which is amazing for him, right? That's a great little, that's a great way to earn money. And now you can monetize those things. You can start a YouTube channel, like all these different things. In the past, maybe 20 years ago, if you got stuck and no one else wanted to give you roles because they were like, oh no, you're a soup Nazi, you can't do anything else, that was a problem. So I guess nowadays, like there's more avenues for you to monetize that celebrity or that character.
Yeah, probably. I hope it's Israel will pick up, because here everything is like a decade late. So
why do you think that is? Is it because we're small? Because technology-wise, like I guess we export all the technology because like startups, we're like number 2 in the world, like per capita. But I guess we export everything like overseas, right?
I'm not sure, but times they are changing. Like one of the things is that and on the spectrum is now on HBO Max. So
yeah,
things are getting faster to the rest of the world. So that's good.
How has the feedback been for the show?
It's amazing. Yeah, in Israel, people are talking about it for a couple of years now.
Mm-hmm. When did it air?
I think it was 2019 or 18. Wow, I have a blackout. But something like we shot it in 2017.
Okay.
So probably it was 1 year afterward. And we traveled the world with it. It was really cool. Like the Tribeca Film Festival and Seoul on Korea. And I wasn't there, but I was in Lille in France. That was the first world premiere of the show. The first time we watched it as actors was there.
Really?
Yeah. And also we watched there the first episode of Succession. It was one of my favorite shows.
That's a good show.
Have you watched it? Yeah, that's an amazing show. So, and we went to Monte Carlo Festival and we won there. Like I won best comedic actor.
Oh, wow.
Naomi won best female actor. And the show was like, I think was the grand prize.
That's amazing.
So, that was really, really amazing. Like, Michael Douglas was like 2 rows in front of us. And,
that's crazy, right?
And Dennis Richards like 1 row like behind us or in front of us. It was crazy.
And,
it was just very surreal.
And Niv from Israel, all mixed in.
Yeah. Yeah, that was very weird.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's probably so surreal, right? Like, because we have like a little bit of a inferiority complex in Israel. We're like this little country in the Middle East, and all of a sudden, like you're there with like Michael Douglas in this amazing place. That's probably so weird.
So weird, yeah. But tell me, who's your favorite stand-up comedian? Because that's really things I'm really a world that I'm also do stand-up in Israel, but
yeah.
I keep listening to stand-up comedian comics all day long and every day.
I'll be honest, in Israel, I don't know anymore.
No, who gives a fuck about Israel? I'm talking about America.
No, because there are a lot of funny people. I just don't know. Like, I haven't been like up to date about like who the latest are. So I don't know. But here, bar none, like my top guy is Bill Burr. Like that's.
Oh, I love Bill Burr. I watched him in Jersey once and in Israel once.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's for me number 1, hands down, and then it's everyone else. He's the best. How about you?
I think my all-time favorite would be Norm Macdonald. I just love Norm.
I actually saw, it's so funny. I literally watched an interview, a joke he did on Conan yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, about the moth.
yeah.
And I was
the
like,
moth joke.
Yeah, I was like, that's only he could deliver that joke so weirdly and so funny.
Yeah, only him. And I watched him live on San Jose once. That was really amazing. But I really love Doug Stanhope and I really love Jim Jeffries. Great. Jim Jeffries, amazing, and I really loved the guys from Legion of Skank podcast.
I don't know that one. No,
it's like they're the biggest anti-PC you can think of. Like they're
okay.
like there was like the how do you say the one that followed Patrice O'Neill and Opie and Anthony, like the real assholes of comedy.
Yeah. Patrice was a legend. Yeah.
Patrice, wow, could be so helpful if we would be alive today. Just hearing him telling his opinions about what's happening in the world.
Yeah.
There's for sure.
There's a few people like Andrew Schultz now, I think, is amazing. His show Flagrant 2, if you guys don't watch it, you should definitely check it out. He's got a really funny podcast. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Russell Peters, I love him. He's very funny. But I think number one for me, Bill Burr, like he's just... So here's a question, because you were talking earlier about character versus reality. Do you think Norm is playing a character, or is that who he is?
I think he probably exaggerating many parts of his real personality, but I don't think like when he's walking in a bank or something, he talks like Norm on stage. It would be surprising for me, and you can see in different interviews there's different voices. So I guess he's exaggerating stuff that are real.
There seem to be people in entertainment that, and maybe not only entertainment, maybe in sports as well, that take on a character like an alter ego, and that alter ego finds success, and then they tend to stick with that character where the line gets blurred at a certain point, and you don't know what's real anymore. And I think maybe they don't even know what's real anymore. Like that character is so intertwined into the fabric of who they are that I think they maybe sometimes lose themselves. I don't know. I see that sometimes. I've seen it. I can't remember off the top of my head names, but I've definitely seen that happen to some people.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and I like to have fun with those kind of stuff, because I have a character which is a parody of a bad stand-up comedian.
Okay.
And I think it's probably very Israeli, this kind of humor. Like, it's not Israeli alone, of course, but the kind of, my wife is like this and this in Israel. It's very, very big. It's very so popular. Bad. Yeah, it's so bad. So sometimes I write like Facebook status of intentionally very bad humor or like very new age kind of thing. And people a couple of months ago I did a post about how I'm stopping to be cynical. Like I just realized it's poisoning my soul. It was a complete 100% lie, a parody. But people was, oh my God, Niv, that's so nice to hear that even you, like with all your black humor and stuff, like are matured and growing up. And I'm, guys, you misunderstood.
Then next post is like just the opposite.
Actually, it was in the same post. I read like a really long one about how cynicism, you just need to put it aside. And I thought about it while walking at the beach, because I like to go to the beach and think. and I finished it with, and then I sat on a huge pile of shit. It was so smelly. And okay, even when I'm saying that at the end of the post, you don't get it?
Yeah. Well, people want to take social media very seriously. And, I don't know. It's a funny thing. They take it. That's why I personally deleted Facebook like around 7 years ago, around the time, maybe 8 years ago, around the time I came to the US.
Good for you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still on Twitter and Instagram, but I just, I don't know, just don't take it that seriously. Like even Elon Musk, so he's one of the most famous people in the world, one of the big rich, I think he's like number 1 or 2 richest person. Like he trolls people on Twitter. That's, you got to find some humor in it. Like people have to be less serious. I know nowadays everyone's very serious and they take everything very literal, but come on, people, just, lighten up. Not everything has to be serious like all the time.
Yeah. So how many years are you in the US?
Let's see. What are we now? May. I think it's going to be 8 years in August, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, and when you moved there, did you have a decent accent, or it's just from those 8 years?
I had it. It probably Americanized with time. But I moved around a lot. I may have said this on one of the earlier episodes. I don't remember. But I moved around a lot as a kid. I lived in Africa for like 6 years. And I used to watch a lot of like American TV, when I grew up. So I just, for some reason, instead of getting the local accent, I adopted the American one that I heard on the TV. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I envy people with really great accent.
Yeah, I don't know how great it is, but it's I
don't know. For me, it sounds like
it lets me fit it. It lets me fit in at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys think you're gonna do this? This is something I always wonder. Why don't Israeli shows make like follow-up seasons? Why isn't there almost never a season 2, 3, 4, 5? Now with Fauda, you're seeing it because that's wildly successful. But like, I would love to see, on the Spectrum season 2. It's such a good show.
Yeah, me too. I don't know. I just don't know. I'm really just an actor in this one, so I can't tell you. I don't know. I wish someday they will.
You don't think they'll do it?
I honestly. I don't know. In Israel, it's hard to tell you because maybe now traveling the world and HBO Max maybe will open up something. But in Israel, sometimes shows can take 5 years between seasons. I don't get it.
I just don't get it.
It's probably one of the reasons, and I guess there could be numerous reasons, but I can't tell you because I don't know.
Yeah.
But finger crossed. Yeah.
I hope, man. Like maybe with this new HBO thing, it'll, I don't know, get people excited. But I always wondered, like, here in the US, it's if it's successful, they'll do a season 2. If that's successful, 3, 4, 5, and on and on. And
I guess everything is harder in Israel, but I know that yes, studios that the shows in Israel, it's on Yes Studios. They really, really push the show and they love the show, and it's a great home for the show. So I'm sure they really want it, but maybe it's finance, maybe it's something else. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, for me, what I loved is that it was one of the, outside the fact that it was a brilliantly done show, but it was one of the first shows that was not political. Like one of the first shows or movies, because, all the stuff that gets here into the US, it's 95% of it is Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
Yeah.
And I always I always sit with my wife and we watch it and I'm like, dude, there's so much more to the country than that. Like, why don't they put out other stories? They always bring this stuff. And finally,
probably they think people in America, that's what they know about Israel. So that's what they will like to see.
Yeah. But there's so much more.
Yeah, I don't know what's more. No, okay.
No, there's more. That's one. Slice of the pie. There's, it's a booming tech scene. There's Tel Aviv, which is like, New York and a hybrid of New York and LA. There's so much more. There's so many more, and stories are endless. It's not like in a finite amount of stories. You can always create more stories, and there are always more stories to tell. It's a
of course,
immigrant culture, Holocaust. There's so much. And
no, you're completely right. I just love to be
contrarian.
yeah, but no, definitely no. I don't feel like. Of course, we feel the military stuff, but I don't. It's not a part of most people's lives.
Yeah,
like it's but it's there. One of the I really wanna. I really wish I would like do another role in this kind of cool project. Hopefully someday, in America maybe. And most people told me, your type is not what they're looking for in Israeli, because you don't look Israeli. You don't look like this Middle Eastern.
No.
So it's gonna be very hard for you to get a role.
You can't.
Maybe
you can't play the terrorist here.
Yeah.
They always bring the Israeli ones to play the terrorists here, and the Americans.
Yeah, or bodies.
Or bodies. That's a funny one, right? Like playing a body. Like,
yeah.
Why do they why can't they just bring a dummy? Like, why do they have to hire someone to play a dead person?
Yeah, there's really, special effects guys nowadays that can make really realistic dolls. Why do you need to take Aki Avni and to be in a dead body or something? No, maybe it was a terrorist in 24. He did like something very small.
He had like a CIA role or something. I think he had like one line. And poor guy, so for people who may not know, at the time, this was a long time ago. I don't remember how long, but at least a decade.
Yeah. More. Yeah. It was very long.
Aki Avni was a very famous actor in Israel. Him and his beautiful wife at the time, who was a model, they were like, we're going to go to the US and try to make it big over there. And, they tried for many years. And I think he got 2 roles or something along those lines. And, and again, like those 2 roles were tiny. Like they were like maybe 3 lines at the most. And then after a few years of being unsuccessful, he came back to Israel and everyone kind of made fun of him. And, poor guy, man. He tried. He tried.
Yeah, for sure. I would really like to be something in 24, even that small. Like Eric Andre was in Curb. Do you remember him in Curb?
Who? Oh,
Eric Andre?
No, I don't. What season, actually?
Season 7, the Seinfeld reunion. And I really didn't, because he did it before the Eric Andre show. It was before, and he just was like a stage man in the studios.
Really?
He didn't have anything funny, but he just wanted to be there, and that is super awesome.
That is awesome, but I don't remember. I'd have to go back and watch that one. That was a great season.
Yeah.
So what do you have outside of what you mentioned earlier, which I guess you said it's going to probably be out in a year. Is that a Israeli production, that movie or show?
That is it's a feature. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a feature film. Yeah. I actually also did a small part in a also very cool feature film, which would be my first.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the name yet, but it was about the Eichmann trial.
That's a popular one. Yeah, I've seen a few of those recently.
Yeah, but this time is not about the trial itself. It's like many stuff. You'll see. But I don't know the name yet. The director is Jake Paltrow.
Okay.
And he came to Israel, and it was a really exciting meeting with him. He's American, of course.
Yeah.
The Paltrow family. And but the production was Israeli, but the director was American, so that was nice. And this, I think, is pretty much ready. I don't know when it's gonna come out, but when it does, when you see a Jake Paltrow movie,
okay. So
I'm there in a small role, but a nice one.
I'll look for you.
Yeah.
It's great that more and more shows are coming out. I guess maybe Yes and HBO have some sort of a contracted deal, because there's been a lot of a lot of Israeli shows on HBO Max, off the top of my head, Possessions, I think, which was like French Israeli. And last week I saw this new show, Uri and Ella. I haven't even watched it yet.
That's a great show. That's from the same director from On the Spectrum. It's the same director.
Okay. All right. Well,
yeah, it's a great show.
Well, I'm looking forward to see that. Valley of Tears, which I thought was amazing.
I haven't watched it.
I think in Hebrew it's called Shatnila.
Okay. So I didn't know the American name, the English name.
They completely changed the name. It has nothing to do with the original name.
Yeah.
But that was unbelievable. He did such a good job. I forget the main guy's name, but it was a great, great show.
I did an audition for it. I didn't get it.
Oh, really?
Not for the main guy, of course.
For the genius?
No, for the one that gets crazy, like it's.
The genius guy.
The genius. That's the name. Okay.
No, but he was like eccentric. He was like very smart and.
No, I'm not talking the small guy with the hedgehog. Not this guy. No, this guy on the tank. Getting crazy and starting,
Oh, I know. Yeah. That was a good one. Yeah. It's again, so, there is more and more content, which is amazing because, I don't know, people here get to see it. And again, like it's not only from here, it's from India and it's from Japan and Sweden. For some reason, Sweden's like putting out, or like the Scandinavian countries are putting out like a shit ton of movies and shows. They're all around a murder. It's always around a murder in the town. But they're good.
One. Have you watched, maybe it's Norwegian? In Order of Disappearance. Really cool movie. It's not new.
Okay. It's on Netflix?
It's not new. I don't know. I haven't checked. I just watched it years back.
Okay.
But it's very it's very cool and dark and black humor, but also very Tarantino-y.
Really? In Order of Disappearance. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll look into it. And what I think I love most is that when you watch, and this is no fault of the US, this is just, when you watch movies and shows from the US for so long, there's a pattern. There's because of the culture and because of maybe what's successful and because of I don't know, studio constraints, they follow a format a lot of times. And then when now all of a sudden we get to see all these international ones, you're like, oh wow, this is completely different. Like the acting is different, the stories are different, the way it's shot is different, and it's just so refreshing to see something completely new. And I think that's why I've been, 80% of what I've been watching in the last year or two has been like foreign films and foreign shows. Because it's just, I don't know, it's just so refreshing to see something. And they are all different from one another, right? Like India doesn't do it the same as Israel, and Israel doesn't do it the same as Sweden. And they all have their humor and their culture and their stories. So it's just, I don't know, it's a fascinating new...
Yeah, and you get to travel the world in that way. That's really interesting. There's like amazing Turkish films.
Yeah. I watched one Turkish movie like a year ago. I was crying the whole movie, man. I could barely breathe by the end of it.
Really?
It was the saddest movie I've ever seen in my life. I forget the name, but it was a difficult one to watch. It was a very good movie though. Very, very good. Niv, this was a lot of fun, man. I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Also for me. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
I'm looking forward to, any future works. And again, thank you for taking the time. This was a lot of fun. I think this was probably one of the funnest episodes I've done in a while. So thank you for coming on.
Success.
It's a great success. Where can people find you? What are the best places where's the social media that you use the most? Plug it in.
Okay, let's do some plugs. Yeah, I guess you can go on my YouTube channel, Niv Majar. And it's fortunately, it's mainly Hebrew there, but there's stuff with no language at all. There's animation stuff. And you can check my YouTube channel. In my Instagram is mostly cats that I picture cats or So I don't know if it's very interesting.
Yeah.
You can try.
If you're into cats, guys, go follow him on Instagram.
And I really should try and make more English content. Yeah.
Yeah, man, you have an international audience now.
Yeah, you should check my very small sketch with Larry Thomas, the Soup Nazi, on my YouTube channel.
I'll try to link some of the stuff so it makes it easier for people to find everything. And yeah, guys, go follow, go watch the show. The show is on the Spectrum. It's on HBO Max.
Yes, please do.
It's really great. I think you guys are going to love it. So yeah, thanks again, man. I really appreciate everything.
Thank you. Thank you.